Hi everybody, Danny Antrobus here from South Yorkshire Funding Advice Bureau. This is part of our series on fundraising for trustees, and today we're going to talk about planning. There are three main areas of planning you'll get involved in as a fundraiser, and the first of those is organisational planning. The sort of overall aims, outcomes and activities for your organisation, kind of what it is that you do. Second is project planning, breaking down those overall organisational plans into smaller, discrete pieces of work and planning who will do what by when. And thirdly is fundraising planning. So all of the fundraising tasks you'll need to get involved in need to be planned to work out how best to use your fundraising resources. So next, a quick check on roles and responsibilities. So if you're in a small or a new organisation, as a trustee, the chances are that you're, as well as being responsible for all the fundraising work and all the other work that goes on in your organisation, you're probably also taking on those tasks yourselves. So you're kind of doing the fundraising and having the overall responsibility for making sure it's done properly and legally. For larger and more well-established organisations, the trustees are still responsible for making sure that the work happens properly, but the actual tasks themselves might be done by other people, by staff or volunteers. So let's take a look at the three main areas of planning in more detail, and the first is organisational planning. So the first thing to think about is what do you do? And work out how you'd answer that question for someone who knows nothing about your work. You know, imagine answering that question at a party. So for someone who knows absolutely nothing about charities, community groups, your area of work, your area of the country, think about how you would break this down and give a really short and succinct answer to that question, what it is you do. And once you've got that, and bear in mind this is something you'll work on again and again and again in your organisation, you can start to break it down into the who, what, when, where, why and how. The details of your organisational plan. What are the aims of your organisation? What are the outcomes? What's different? What should be different as a result of your work? What are the activities that you do that help achieve your aims and meet your outcomes? Who benefits from your organisation's work? Where are you based and where do you work? And what are the timescales over which you're trying to achieve your aims? Next is project planning. Project thinking is really important for organisations. If you can break your work down into easy to define bits, you'll have a much better chance of persuading people that it's worth supporting, of enabling them to understand what it is that you're talking about. So from your overall organisational plan, it'll really help you to start thinking about how you can break that work down into smaller activities. And for each one of those that you come up with, it's worth trying to put together a really quick, short project summary. So one page that just sets out the aims, outcomes and activities for each bit of work. And then you can start to work out who would do what by when to make those things happen. And once you've got those project plans, they're incredibly helpful in your ongoing fundraising, because funders tend to want to support discrete pieces of work that have a start and an end. And it's those projects that you will find much easier to describe than the whole overall aims and activities of your organisation. And the third area, fundraising planning. So for all of your work, you'll need to think about the various funding sources that are open to you, which ones you'll want to approach for which pieces of work. You'll need to think about the tasks involved in fundraising. So researching possible funders, communicating with them and other supporters of your work, the financial work involved in producing budgets for your projects, and then of course all the work involved in writing applications and keeping on top of your fundraising. And within fundraising planning as well, you need to think about internally in your organisation who's responsible for taking on those fundraising tasks, what do they need to do, when do they need to do it, and someone somewhere in your organisation needs to keep track of all of that stuff. So to summarise, three main areas of planning for fundraising in your organisation. First is that overall organisational planning, what it is that your organisation is trying to achieve. You can break that down into a series of project plans, details of the work that you'll do to achieve your organisational aims. And finally, there's fundraising planning, working out all the tasks that you'll need to do to raise the money for the projects that achieve your organisational goals. And that's all. Very quick run through planning your fundraising for trustees. If you want more information, it's all available on the SciFab website. There's information sheets, our funding search database, funding news service, training advice, and loads more. Go to www.scifab.org.uk. Thanks very much, and we'll see you soon.